Hello everyone, I'm Tanya Cross, founder of Locks of Inspiration. This company was started about 3 years ago. I had the opportunity to spend some time with some orphans, and I'm going to tell you about this journey. This is a company that helps the less fortunate feel fortunate. I have my daughters here, Jonna, Hunter, and as close to a daughter as could be, Jordan. And they've all played a very important role in having this come together for me and supporting me through all of this. To start out with, I was taking art lessons at the Boca Museum in Boca Raton. We were doing an art piece for my daughter's room, Jonna, and then I had an opportunity to get information about a missions trip in Romania to do art lessons. I signed up. The orphans had come here to bring awareness that they were trying to build a safe house over there so they could transition out of the orphanage. And then Hunter and Jordan were able to accompany the orphans to a trip to Disney. And that's how we spent time with several different orphans. What we ended up doing in the spring of '08 is we had an opportunity to take the children that were over from the orphanage to Disney. And Hunter and Jordan went along with me as chaperones, and wow, to see Disney through the eyes of orphans. Do you remember how much fun that was?
Yes, the children, the look on their faces as they walked through into this magical land that they had never experienced before was just astounding.
You could definitely tell they're more appreciative than the other kids running around. Like everything took them. Like they saw Ryan, they were like, "Whoa, that's the coolest thing ever!" And they had little English, but they could communicate a lot. And I remember one word they used by the end of the Disney trip a lot was "I love you," and they always said "I love you, I love you." And they were really appreciative of everything and everything that we did. And Tanya got really close with a boy named Danny, and I'm sure she could tell you more about that.
Oh, Danny was, he was like a little line leader, and he just didn't know it. He was a little boy that did not smile. We tried really hard to get him to smile. And by the end of this story, you'll understand Danny, and you'll see some pictures of how we came up with the tagline that Jonna helped in writing stories of touching hearts through touching hair. And Danny's an amazing little boy. And as I started inviting the children into the salon to cut their hair, there was a little boy named Florine. And what happened, Jonna, when you walked into the salon? Do you remember?
Florian basically was a little boy who had never had any woman in his life, whether it was a mom or a sister or a girlfriend or anything. The first thing he said when he saw me was, "I just love you," and came up and gave me the biggest hug. It was the cutest thing ever. I never felt so touched by a child that hadn't really received love, that just hugging him made him happy.
So after we had taken the children up to Orlando, there was an opportunity to go to Romania on a missions trip. I put my application in, and I was accepted. I was in charge of the art department. So I went over and taught the children the techniques that I learned in the Boca Raton Museum of Art. And then in my free time, the children remembered I cut hair, so I ended up being Locks of Inspiration over in Romania. What was kind of interesting is as I saw the children do their artwork, how talented they were. So I ended up letting a couple of them, one was Sabina, do some haircuts, and I realized these children had potential. What I found out, the power of a haircut, this is little Danny, the little boy that really seldom would smile. This is little Danny after he gets a haircut and gets a hug, and he gives me a hug, and you can see the power of a haircut to touch someone's heart. After returning to the States, my children really know how excited I was about my trip over to Romania. And Jonna really got on board and helped me do a lot of the writing of the stories. And Jonna, take over. You just took the bull by the horn on that one, and I really, really thank you for that.
After forming Locks of Inspiration, It was almost like my mom wanted to help everyone, but we needed to find a way to help everyone with really allowing people to understand what the purpose of Locks of Inspiration is. And whether it's helping people in Romania or it's helping people in America, it's basically about just helping people feel loved, helping people feel like there's an advocate for them somewhere. Whether they're poor, whether they're uneducated, whether they just need a hug. It's just about really helping the less fortunate people feel fortunate.
So when I returned this past fall, I went to a football game down in Miami and got a football shirt for Danny. And children wanted to know what I was doing as people were signing the t-shirt. And I said, I'm sending it to an orphanage. And I help children over there. And a gentleman gave me $20 to help towards shipping costs. And from there, it went into getting some coats at a sample sale for Jonna, who's in college at FSU, 2 coats for her, and I found a black cape that I thought, well, Mommy will use this one. I ended up taking it to work and noticed there was a big hole in it. I brought it back to Boston proper, and this is what launched the next journey to Locks of Inspiration, Cuts for Coats. He took the coat and balled it up and threw it in a bin, and I asked him, what happens? And he said, we discard them. And I said, I work with orphans. They ended up donating all their damaged coats, sweaters, trims, and we held an event in Salon 300 where clients would donate a worn coat and they got a complimentary haircut.
And with the damaged clothing from Boston proper, you imagine these clothes that are ripped and torn. These clothes had holes about the size of a quarter. These are $100 worth coats, and they're just being thrown away. While my mother over here thought, these orphans, they're freezing cold, it doesn't matter. They'll have a coat even if there's a hole in it.
She's right. And they actually called when they knew I was going over, and they saved us, how many bins were there, Hunter? 4 bins?
Enough to fill up our entire house, basically. For about 3 months, our house was filled with all different kinds of coats, and South Florida does not get that cold.
So
I think it was a textile mill.
My grandmother had been a mender in a woolen mill, and she taught me how to mend as a little girl, and I started mending these sweaters, and they were fine to take over to the orphanage. Prior to that, we decided to give the children a Valentine's Day party. So Jordan and Hunter, along with myself and other people in this Boca Raton area, went to the heart painter. Evelyn Ballin was generous to donate her studio, and we created Valentines with all the scrap trims and sequin that was donated from Boston proper.
And also, 2 of our clubs that we were in at Boca Raton High School donated their resources, and the students, they took their time off during lunch to get together and make Valentines for them to show them that they're actually loved and that people care about them. So that was a really awesome experience.
To have high school students unite in order to help these orphans who feel like they have no one to turn to, it was just an amazing adventure, and it furthered the orphans' feeling of love.
So I went over with a lot. We had coats, we had candies, we had Valentines, we had hearts. Target donated a lot of the Valentine goodie bags that I filled once I was over in Romania. And if you go to YouTube, you'll see Cut for Coats on there as well. So I decided it was time to get the textile mill out of the house and pack all of these coats. I checked my flight and checked the amount of bags I was sending over, and it was going to be $200 a bag. I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I made a mistake. I got through to Delta at a corporate level, and there was a sweetheart of a lady, Janice Lowe, that figured out how to get all of this done within a 10-hour period and said, go to the airport, you are cleared, you will not be charged for any of those bags. So I arrived at the airport, and the gentleman by the name of Ricky Williams helped him with all my luggage, and he said, "You're going to be spending a lot on this luggage." And I said, "I don't think so." He brought me up to the gate, and he then saw that it was all cleared. He said, "I have never seen Delta do this, pay nothing." So I was on the plane, and every single bag got there. Thank you, God. So after being over in Romania with the children and spending time with them, it was really sad to leave, and I had the opportunity to spend time teaching in one of the cosmetology schools, and it truly was saddening to my heart that there was one little girl there that really was working hard to become a hairdresser. Her name's Sabina, and she did not have an education. She's been in the program for 4 years. I asked her to come up and help me do a haircut at the school. She was very scared, and then as I spent more time with her, I found out that she had been labeled slow, maybe an error, and early on when she was placed in the orphanage, so she never really got an education. She has now been aged out and is trying very hard to just survive over in Romania. So I really realized then that there is a need to help children, whether it be in Romania or children here that may not want, need, desire to go to a 4-year school, but they need to have the opportunity to get an education through a technical school, and that is going to be the goal of Locks of Inspiration. The mission is to help children get educational scholarships and additional training so that when they are aged out of their situation, they are taught life skills as well as skills in the technical school. The contest that was created for the Mother's Day Makeover was to send a story in on why this person is really important in your life. And Jonna had done this as a little girl, of how much I had impacted her little life, and the children started sending their stories, and they were incredible to read. So Terry up in Stewart, Corvell, won the $2,500 package along with her daughter Kayla. And then there's a little boy from Boca Raton Middle School, little Connor McVeigh, that sent a story in. His mom was just finishing her treatments for breast cancer, and he brought her in. And this was Connor's story. And if you go to my website, locksofinspiration.org, you can read these 2 stories in their entirety. And there's no accidents. Another little God-wink moment when Kathy came in for her makeover. She flies for Delta. Actually, she flies internationally for
Delta.
So we went to dinner after I did her makeover, and Kathy wants to know how she can participate and give back. So Kathy and I may be doing a little trip over to Romania, bringing a lot more goodies. So what I'm working on is truly going full circle. It is to help people abroad as well as people locally, to help the less fortunate
Feel fortunate. It's not what you do in your life, it's what you do with your life. It really comes down to just helping others. It makes the world go round. It's what would God want you to do, and what can you do to help? Everybody can do something. Even if you think it's just simple as answering the phone, or sending an email, or even just writing a child a letter to show them that you do care about them, that they are not lost in this world. We would love everybody's help in this journey. Helping the less fortunate feel fortunate.
Doesn't get any better than that. I love my girls. Thank you for supporting Locks of Inspiration. I'm Tanya. Thank you for watching.